Peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview, where we interview straight up the biggest badasses that exist on the planet in their space. So today I got an awesome guest. We're actually live in the studio, and I'm super stoked for today. We got actually a teammate of mine, a great friend of mine, one of the best lead generators I've ever seen in my lifetime in this business. So today we got my brother from another mother on the show, Ryan Hightower. Thanks for coming on the show, dude.
It's good to see you, man. It's good to be here.
Absolutely, bro. Stoked to have you here. So there's kind of two things I want to talk about. I know you got some really big projects that you're starting in life, that you have a vision for, and I kind of want to save that for the second part of the podcast.
Sure.
To start off with, dude, because I've seen a lot in this business. I've been doing this for over a decade here in the real estate industry. Been doing this a long time, and you're probably one of the most gifted guys I've seen when it comes to generating a mass amount of leads. So, but it kind of started before you got in the real estate business. I know you were heavy into Craigslist and doing some funky things there. So kind of let's start with that maybe. How'd you get started in the online space? Let's talk about your kind of Craigslist background, and then what got you involved in the real estate space.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there kind of was a period there. I've been licensed for about 12 years as a real estate agent, and had a strong start in real estate, and followed some investor clients into kind of fix and flip and new builds and that sort of thing, and went through a period of time where, like 2005, 2006, where I built this little empire in a year or two and lost about 70 properties. And that sucked. I mean, it knocked me down on my ass, and it sucked bad. And around that time, I didn't know if I wanted to look at another house again after that or sell another house. I set the whole REO short sale thing out completely. But basically during that period of time, I used Craigslist to hustle, to make a living. I mean, I was buying stuff in bulk off of eBay and selling it individually, locally. I was traveling for free. I was making all kinds of great connections, and, just doing these. I bought a car lot off of there. I ran a car lot for a while, buying and selling cars. I continued to flip houses.
Let me interrupt you there, though, because the car lot story is kind of a cool story, because you bought a car lot,
right?
You were selling cars on that car lot, and then you flipped the car lot, but you never once physically stepped foot on the car lot.
Right.
It was all online, dude.
Yeah, and all of that was Craigslist. So I got really good at it. I mean, I got to where I basically, now it's kind of the Facebook thing, but where once you figured out what it was that you wanted to accomplish, if you wanted to make a certain connection or meet a certain type of person, or if you needed, funding for this or that, there really wasn't an outcome that you couldn't accomplish with Craigslist. And, about that time, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and one of my dad's kind of dying wishes, he was like, man, I see you, helping all of these people with Craigslist. You should write a book, right? I've never been a writer. I can't, spell or write for shit. And, we have that in common. And, so I got some help with it. I went to some writers retreats, and I got, I wrote it myself. I had it edited, and it basically was just, it was a whole different period of time in my life than where I'm at now. I mean, it was a lot of nickel and dime stuff, and, just scraping out a living, but it worked, and so I wrote the book, and it still sells. I still sell copies of it every day. It's on Amazon and all that good stuff. But I'm just kind of, I set real estate out completely, for most of the last 6 or 7 years after all those losses, and just jumped back in a little over a year ago. Jumped back, on your team.
Yeah, no, awesome, bro. So, and the cool thing is I've yet to meet anybody that's ever become uber successful that hasn't had crazy highs, but also has crazy lows. It's like those are our biggest learning moments, and I'm sure you learned a lot from that, dude. What have you always been like this kind of tech savvy online dude, or at what point in your life did you get into that space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would say so. For sure, I've always been entrepreneurial. I've basically always worked for myself, but yeah, I've always been drawn to the internet and online stuff and Craigslist and Facebook, and I don't know, it just fits with my personality. And as you know, I try to do what I love and only what I love, and embrace my strengths. And I have a lot of weaknesses, and just forget about those, get help with those or have somebody else handle those, and play our strengths, man.
Yeah. Well, and really, you've kind of translated what you've done on Craigslist to the real estate game.
Right.
Right? You're selling a different product, but you go out there, you identify your customer, the customer raises their hand, and then from there, you're kind of pass them off to one of your teammates or whatever it may be. Before you joined my team, though, you were doing something that was really cool. It didn't, because you didn't have an element of control there, but you were generating thousands of leads for agents all over the country, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So probably 2.5 years ago, I was scared to jump back into real estate. The purchase contract had changed. A lot of it, these fears were in my head, but I still to this day have never done a short sale. I mean, when we get one, I have Billy handle it, or I have another teammate handle it, and I set that out completely. So I was scared to jump back in, but I mean, finally I realized it was what I knew. It was what I was good at. And why am I doing this stuff to make, $20 or $50 when you can go out and sell a house and make, 5 or 10 grand? This is ridiculous. I'm struggling, and I don't have to be, and, so when I jumped back in, I said, okay, I'll do rentals. That's, rentals, show and go, hand them your business card, boom, you get paid. I don't have to write any leases or anything. And, so I did that for about, 8-9 months at a property management company in town, and got really going good with that. I was renting a house a day. I was making about 10 grand a month doing that. You have to rent out their own inventory and stuff. And then that kind of was a letdown too. That kind of was a kick in the nuts too. Like day before Christmas Eve, I got called into a sales meeting, and they're like, "We're gonna let you go." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even see it on the radar, and I was leasing more houses than the other 7 leasing agents combined. And the broker owner had gotten cancer, and she put some 20-year-old punk in charge of everybody, and he was a competing leasing agent on the team. So I'm leasing 25, 30 houses a month. He's leasing 2 or 3. Like, I was making him look bad. And so I was joking around with him. He's like, dude, he says, hey, I need to talk to you for a minute. And I'm like, will you let me go? Like, I was just fucking with him, and he turned white. And I got over to his desk, and he's like, yeah, you see that right there? It says, where it says 1234 West Main Street, you need to be putting our inventory number. This is house number ABCD 123 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, we can, I'm not strong with paperwork. We can get that fixed. And he's like, so, yeah, we're letting you go. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, you need to tell me, if you're joking, because I'm not mad, but I'm about to turn around and walk out the door, like Christmas Eve, And so that was my first experience jumping back into real estate for, being away. And I wanted to, it was all meant to be. I mean, I wanted to help those renters. That's kind of why I have a passion. One of our lead sources now on the team is converting, rental leads to buyers. And that's kind of why I have a passion for it. Like, I helped all of those people, that wanted to buy a house in a year, but that brokerage wouldn't let me. They just rent those houses and those houses only, and move on, And so from there I went to Remax, and I had friends in Remax that I had recruited to Remax years ago that were still there. And they were like, come on back. You definitely can get your foot in the door. And so that was meant to be. I mean, that was a natural step. That was a great home for a while. I always, including right then, I always seemed to revert back to the lead gen side of things. I got my foot in the door at Remax. I got going again. I got, a handful of buyers and sellers underway. and I figured out the whole Remax Lead Street thing. And so I started going after that. I had like 120 Remax agents in 5 states that I was helping with their Remax leads. And, I had intentions of just really, like what if I could get, help 5 or 10,000 of them capture 80% of the, 10 million leads or a year or whatever that they get. So that's kind of where we're heading with it. And then, of course, the transition to working for you and with you on this team was at any given time back then, we were in the same brokerage and everything. At any given time, I was helping maybe a third or half of your team with their Remax leads. And I had come to you, and said, not trying to, obviously you're doing a lot of things right. You guys sell a shitload of houses, you sell a ton of houses. But like, I see some opportunities, I drove by 10 listings and I see some flyer tubes that are empty. I text for information and nobody's called me back. Now, maybe they know I'm an agent, but I see some opportunities to generate more leads for your guys, and we have a good thing
and
going.
This was before you joined the team.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And there, it was about that point, a little over a year ago, that you were like, why don't you just come on the team? And like, if we have leads for you and everything, but if you even need all that stuff, you do it and you keep it, And I was like, yeah, let me think about it for a day or whatever. And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. That sounds great. I had aspirations of building a small team, never a huge, 20 or 30 person team. But, so, that sounded great to me. And that's kind of brought us to where we are now.
Yeah. So, the rental leads, dude, I know you and I have talked a lot about this, and you're still doing this today on a smaller scale than you were. At one point, 6 months, a year ago, dude, you were bringing in like 500 rental leads a day.
Yeah.
Right? And I align with you on this. This is why every time you come to me and you're like, okay, Josh, I got this new plan. Like, can you get behind this, support this? I'm always like, hell yeah. Because I understand, I know that we're in the human resource, human connection business. It's not a renters versus buyers and sellers market. They're all human beings. Right? So 52% of renters will remain renters. But what about the other 48% that will become buyers or sellers? What about their coworkers? What about their families, their friends, that once you develop that human connection, you've got that constant business for the rest of your life. What are some of the things that you guys are doing today? Because I know you have huge success with it. So what are some of the things that you are doing? Because people that might be listening or watching this interview right now might be thinking, dude, I don't want to go out there and just work with a bunch of rental properties. So what are some of the things that you're doing to convert those people? And then also, though, people may think, oh, I don't want to go work with them, but maybe now they just heard you saying, okay, I was making 10 grand a month working rentals. They might sit there and say, okay, shit, rentals aren't bad. I just maybe am taking the wrong approach at them.
Yeah.
So kind of what are some of the things that you've done there and have done in the past that have been successful?
Yeah, absolutely. And it certainly was a learning experience for us. That as a lead source, just a little over this is day one for me in real estate again. Everything has changed. The internet's changed. The real estate's changed. Lead gen has changed. And, there's a lot of fundamentals that are still, that still apply, open houses and it being a human connection business and everything. But, as a lead source, that was one year back at it, that was 17 of my closings last year was these rental leads. And we didn't even have, we weren't showing any rentals. We weren't, sad to say, we didn't have a leasing agent in place, just the way we were structured. We just were generating rental leads and plugging them all into conversion, into a CRM, and just asking them every day for 30 days, would you have any interest in looking at possibly buying instead of renting? And the thing I always loved about that lead source, and still do to this day, is they are moving somewhere in 30 days. Unlike pay-per-click and Google and AdWords, and Zillow's pretty quick sometimes, but man, they are absolutely moving. The number one objection I would have thought would have been down payment or credit. It's not. The number one objection is they don't think you can get them in a house quick enough before they need to move. And so my suggestion, we still do it some. We kind of stopped doing it for a while there because we didn't have that leasing agent piece in place, and people were like, hey, I just want to know about, is it still for rent? When can I see it? And so, that was pissing some people off that we, had houses rented, but didn't really have any intention of showing the house for rent. But my suggestion to anybody looking to do that as a lead source, and you can generate, God, 100 times as many rental leads for cheap, for free, as you can buyer leads or seller leads. But my suggestion would be, pick 10 or 20 that are near where you live, that pay good on the MLS. Maybe they pay $500 instead of $150 or whatever.
10 to 20 actual lease properties.
In our state, it's not required to get permission first, but go ahead and get permission, from that agent. Hey, do you mind if I advertise this rental on Zillow or Postlets or Craigslist or whatever? I'd like to help you get it rented out. And then, take those calls and those leads and have a conversation with them. Just say, hey, take every call that comes in. They're close to home. You have the opportunity. You kind of get 2 swings at it. You kind of get 3 swings at it. You get the phone call. Have you thought about buying? Well, we had a short sale 2.5 years ago. We're still 6 months out. We're still 1.5 years out. And then, a lot of times, okay, well, let's go ahead and look at a rental or 2. You can't afford to spend too much time with those people, but then so there's your second swing. You're out there face to face, hey, Josh, tell me again a little bit more about your situation. I know we just had a quick phone call before, but well, actually, we had a short sale like 5 years ago, and we just were under the impression we couldn't buy, and we really don't have anything saved. We just have first and last. Well, we got programs. I mean, I can get you into buying a house for $2,500 down or whatever. Let's, could I put you on the horn with my lender partner for 2 minutes, and we'll see if there's some options there. I mean, I understand you need to move in 30 days, but if we get after this, if we pre-qual you now with the lender and we go out looking this weekend, we can close in 14 days, 21 days, whatever. That time period's about to get a little bit longer here with these new rules and stuff, but still, you can still move quick if somebody's motivated. And the thing that I always thought, like I said, we closed 17 of my 43 or 45. Zero marketing dollars. Yeah, those leads were free. At one point we were spending $5 a day some days to my guy in India posting ads, for 8 hours at a time or whatever. It wasn't much though. Maybe we had a couple $100 total into that. But I always thought, like I said, that was like 17 out of my 45 closings the first year back. And I always thought, God, the back end of that, to stay with those, because they all would buy if you could show them how. The back end to that, if you could have helped those people rent a house today and hold their hand and put a plan together now to help them buy in a year, the back end of that had to be 5 times bigger than the front end. Those rental leads are totally worth doing. Maybe you make the $300 or the $500 renting them a house today. They go in your database. They're in your sphere of influence. They're hearing from you once a month. You're popping by to see them. You're having a quarterly conversation with the lender. Hey, let's get those last 2 collections paid off. Let's get an unsecured credit card. We're only 15 points away here from getting you a mortgage. And, in the past, I've had situations where we've sold the house they're renting to them, negotiate you can pick up the whole 6%. I've had that happen 2 or 3 times where it's like you pick up a buyer and you don't even have to take the buyer out. You picked up both sides of the deal, taking the renter. And we had one that, I did take them out and show them a few houses, but we ended up putting them back into the house they had been renting for the last 5 years for $50 a month less, Yeah. So I always thought that the back end of that, and we'll see, but I'm sure that will prove to be true, that a year or 2 years down the road is probably 3 to 5 times.
You're slaying in hundreds and hundreds, not thousands of people a month. And it's not even I'm not going to say who gives a shit if they never buy, because of course you want them to buy. But even if they don't buy, they're appreciative that you helped them go get in a rental. Yeah. And nobody else would even answer the damn phone. You're keeping the human relationship alive. You're following up multiple times a week through different motivational messages and all the funky stuff that we do on the team. Dude, and they're become now raving freaking fans for your business, for your fan club.
We've had them refer deals. We've had them not buy from us yet and refer people to us that did buy or sell. Just because now, like you say, they're in your world now. They're hearing from you.
Yeah, so the missing element was really, or is continually, the leasing agent. Somebody could come in and say, okay, I'm going to get an awesome leasing agent to go actually help find the leases, because right now it's just if they're looking for a lease, we really don't. Not that you're not helping them, but you can't help everybody because
Right.
it's just too many. So the leasing agent, and then also I know one of our biggest glitches has been finding a lender that can, because you got so many people coming in. I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, you're talking 50 pre-qual shakes a day to just qualify these people. So I know that's been one of our biggest kinks too, is finding that lender that can jump on it. Everybody thinks that they can handle it.
Right.
And then, oh yeah, we can handle it, and they give it a shot for 30, 40 days, and their system gets so clogged up they can't.
It definitely, that's a key piece of it too. I mean, we burned through a few lenders, unfortunately, that you've got to get a lender that's on board with shotgun approach like that. Like a typical mortgage lender, and we've had some great mortgage lender partners too, but I mean, a typical lender is like, hey, I've got this personal referral, or I've got this guy that I met at an open house and he needs to sell first, and they have good credit and they have equity in their house now. Like, it's solid, right? And they're getting those phone calls one at a time, a couple times a week or whatever from the realtor. And this is like, hey, I got 10 people that'll buy a house, I got 10 new ones today that'll buy a house if we can make it happen somehow. And they shake out 8 or 9 of the 10, as okay, these are 500 credit scores. This one has only a part-time job, but the 1 in 10 that is like, okay, this guy's a veteran, 0 down. He doesn't have any debt. He has a pension. He has like there's a deal there. 1 in 10 or whatever.
Yeah. So let's kind of transition into, so that's one of the silos that's working well, that has worked well, that continues to work well. I know kind of not your biggest, but another concentration that you have heavily is your Facebook ads that you're running.
Yeah.
And they're not paid ads. I mean, you're a fan just like I am of not spending any damn money, dude.
Right.
Like bank all your freaking cash, right? So let's kind of talk about that. I mean, so much to the point where you've kind of built up this following where the site that we utilize, Conversion, asked you to be a star in their video about them. And actually, homeboy behind the cameras here, Aaron, that's my you probably hear him back there, my executive producer that chops all the video together. He was the film producer on it. But to the point where they asked you basically to be the star, kind of show what you're doing, and kind of had Aaron film you for the day to kind of sell the platform. But I mean, you're a bad days 50 leads, a great days 100 new leads coming in on a daily basis. Right. Through that system. So I know without having visual, it's kind of hard to show step by step, but maybe just kind of a quick snapshot of the theory of what you're doing and how other people can go out there and generate free leads.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like again, a year, 14, 15 months back at this, obviously you supply that system to us, Conversion to us. It's a CRM website database. So anything I drive to my subdomain, like, drops in my lead bucket. For anybody that doesn't know what Conversion is, but I'm coming up on 10,000 leads in my system, 9,700 leads in my system, just in a year. And the spend, I mean, dude, maybe I spend a little bit sometimes just to test something, just to test an ad or to promote an open house or whatever. But, geez, I maybe out of 10,000 leads, I maybe have spent, $500 testing. Yeah. And, we do a little bit of Zillow. We got 2 lender partners paying for 90% of that. I'm the same way. I mean, I kind of the nature of just our structure and stuff too. I mean, I basically do the lead gen and then refer everything out normally. So, I mean, I don't, I can't afford to spend $1,000 generating a deal online or whatever. Like I have to do it for cheap or for free.
Well, and there's no reason to when you got 100
Right.
people coming in a day. Because people are always like, well, what's the best lead source? I'm like, well, a lead is a human being. Like, what the hell is a lead? It's a human being that's seen value in what you're doing. So it's not the lead source that sucks. It's how you attack the follow-up with that lead source. So when you're generating that much, there's really no reason to ever have to go spend that money. Okay, so what does it look like? I mean, what do you do to go out there and generate that much leads?
Yeah, I mean, most of that has been just buying, I buy these .coms when they go on sale for 99 cents or whatever and forward them to different searches to my agent site.
What's one example of a .com?
Like, ScottsdaleForeclosures.com.
Okay.
And so you'll forward that, GoDaddy forward that to a Scottsdale home search on our agent website. and that's what'll get posted in relevant groups in Scottsdale, Swip Swap, Yard Sale, Scottsdale Life type groups, and
So you're creating a squeeze page with a custom URL that's for that area.
lead capture.
Squeeze page lead capture, and you just go in that group.
Yeah.
So you go out there and you search groups in those areas. You become a member of those groups, and then you're just posting the ads in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we try some different things too. We try doing some posts for, have you had any thoughts of selling, or free consultation? We'll sit down and meet with you for 30 minutes if you're thinking about buying or selling, just answer questions. Free home buyers ones. Lower quality, but a lot more leads on like down payment assistance programs, lease option, lease purchase, rent to own. I mean, you can get a shit ton of leads if you're running that type of ads. You just have to decide. I mean, are you after 5 leads a day at a higher quality? In which case you're advertising you're posting maybe a specific property for $350,000 in a specific area or whatever, or are you after the 100 leads a day and you're going to shake through them all? And strangely, the interesting thing that we've found out even more recently, you've been saying this to us the whole time to, make the calls, make the calls, make the calls, fortunes in the follow-up, and you hear it and you hear it and you hear it, but you don't hear it, and then you start doing it. I opened up my home to, I posted in our brokerage group and in our team group, just to hold myself accountable to the phone calls that, hey, we have these workstations set up in my 2 living rooms, and every morning 3 or 4 people from the team come over and make calls, and like, dude, fucking amazing things happen when we make the calls. I just got an $800,000 listing that was from making the follow-up calls. I just got one in Surprise that needs to sell and buy. That was from making the calls. We just got a listing on accident from a wrong number. I was telling you about that before we started filming.
Yeah, tell us that story real quick, though.
Yeah,
I
was telling my buddy Billy, this lead came in, and I'm looking at this number, and it's like 602-332-3232. I'm like, dude, that's a wrong number from a mile away. That's somebody fucking with the thing and putting the wrong phone number in because they don't want to be called. I'm like, but I'm looking at the back end of the system, like, man, they've looked at like 125 properties in the first 24 hours. Like, I like the behavior here. Like, she's still getting a phone call. So I call this lady up, and she's like, it's Ryan with Revisto, my home group. And, I noticed you've been on our website. You're getting our emails. Just want to touch base and see if I can answer any questions or, show you any houses. And our help is free to you as a home buyer. It doesn't cost you anything. And just kind of see where you're at with things, She's like, no, I haven't been on your website. I think you had the wrong number. She's like, I have a rental. Are you calling about that? I said, well, tell me about your rental. She says, oh, it's beautiful. It's contemporary, modern, Euro, Arcadia. It's super nice. And I have someone staying there now. It's not really kind of a caretaker situation. It's not really rented, but I think we need to probably go ahead and sell that soon. I'm like, well, that's great. That's what we do. Let me do up a CMA. I'll set an appointment for you with Billy. Can you meet tomorrow afternoon? And so we have this listing coming on board, and it was the wrong number, and that would have never happened were we not making the calls every morning, So, I mean, the leads, yeah, there's better quality leads and less quality leads, but man, you can shake out, 10 or 20 times, 100 times the performance out of the same leads, even out of supposedly shitty leads, just by making the calls. And the calls too, you quickly eliminate. I mean, just like the Steve Jobs thing. I mean, I think it's as important to figure out what not to focus on as it is to focus on. So you see a lead in your system that is like crazy activity on there, and it looks like they're all over your website, and you talk to them and they're like, no, we had a foreclosure last week. We're just, we still just kind of look at things and kind of see, like, they're 3 or 4 years from doing anything. There's no way you're selling them a house next week. So it's like you put that in your system. Like, okay, that's not one of your top 100 or top 50 to focus on anymore. That's a stay in touch, and they can hear from you. They're getting automated text messages and emails and property alerts and stuff, but they're not getting any more calls from you for a while. They're not getting another call from you next week.
Yeah, how are you structuring those calls? Because, okay, so you got the leads coming in. How does, I always say that the leads are really irrelevant. Of course, we need the leads, but leads are never the problem. It's the inability to follow up to convert those leads to appointments. You get 2,000 leads a day, and it doesn't fucking matter if you can't convert them to an appointment. So what does your follow-up structure look like? How quickly are you attacking them? How quickly are you calling them, texting them, whatever that may be? And then how often after that fact?
It's still kind of loose. I mean, we're still kind of dialing that in. I mean, it's always been when it comes in immediately, call, text, and email within 30 seconds or whatever of it coming in, because we're always trying to catch that one that is especially Zillow or whatever, like they are calling until they get some help on that house. So we're always trying to catch that one that's doing it right now. But beyond that, there's so many leads in the system that we're taking. There's a tab that it's pretty intuitive. It's pretty smart that it knows, what your hottest 200 leads are or whatever. So we're kind of working from that. I mean, maybe we can make 20 or 30 calls in the morning, in 2 or 3 hours. And so it's kind of cool. I mean, I wish we could make a lot more calls. I'd love to have a whole team in there calling, or even a couple of full-time people just calling on my stuff. But at the same time, with that many leads in there, it's easy to cherry. I can tell you already what I need, the 20 calls I need to make tomorrow morning, just by typically we're just calling on the notification emails. We're getting system emails from Conversion that say, Joshua Smith has looked at this house 5 times. He's saved 3 listings. Like, that's a phone call tomorrow morning,
Yep. So let's talk about your team structure, because, and I know you said that you work, or you join my team, which, we are a team. Don't get me wrong. We're a team of individuals that help each other accomplish their goals, but it's more of what we provide, what Revisto provides is a platform. We provide the back end support staff, the mentorship, coaching, training, sites, but it's your team. It's you have your own team. We have teams within the team. It's not your typical traditional real estate team. So you have your own team that's structured, and we have other teams within Revisto that have a totally different structure than yours. And I really like your structure in that most real estate agents kind of have this going on in their careers, right? They're going out there, they're generating a shit ton of leads. All of a sudden they get busy with clients, writing offers. They take their foot off of the accelerator of what made them busy as hell in the first place. And so they'll go out there, bang out 4 closings, and have a shitty month or 2, and then have a big month, and then a crappy month, whatever it may be. Let's talk about your structure a little bit, because it allows you to really never take your foot off the accelerator in doing what your strengths are, and then you've put your teammates on what their strengths are. So let's kind of talk about that, how you structure it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I basically have Billy. I basically have one main guy, and then typically, 2 or 3 or 4 people on the team, and it's basically me doing lead generation and referring to them, splitting deals 50-50 and referring to them. That's one of the things I've always loved about being here is like you recruit and motivate and train. This team is highly trained. And I don't have to. Those things are not my strength. Those are things that I don't enjoy doing. And because everybody says all the time, why are you still here? Why don't you go join your own team? Why don't you do your own thing? And because that's all shit that I don't want to do. Like this is we have for lack of a better way to put it, like a labor pool to pick from at any given time. Like, okay, I tried this guy out and we just don't work well together or whatever. And I tried, okay, we're working with Billy and like we have an understanding and like he's good. He's a good negotiator and he's professional with our clients and like he's better than I am in the field, but I'm good at the lead side of things. And it's hard. I mean, even if you're good at both, it's hard to do both anyway. It's hard to be out showing houses and answering the Zillow call right when it comes in. You got clients in front of you. Yeah. So it works well. We just split it. It's just like a referral. I mean, I don't hold their feet to the fire or anything. They do whatever business they can, on their own full first. And then we basically do stuff together too. But
yeah, no, it's smart. It's, I'm a big believer in people like to be successful. You can really only be focused on a couple things, right? And the failure rate for team leaders is every bit as high as the failure rate for a new agent. 90% of new agents fail in the first 2 years of getting in there, 3 years to get in the industry. Well, team leaders, the failure rate's about the same. And not meaning that they get out of the industry, but what I mean is they start this team and then they revert back to going flying solo. And it's because, okay, you start becoming that team leader. Well, now you're your HR department, your payroll department, you're all these things, and it takes away from what made you a successful real estate agent the first time. And it's just like, if you remove that element, so all you have to focus on is creating opportunities and accountability, your two things, and then your agents on your team just focus on conducting appointments and negotiating contracts, then everybody's divided up into two jobs essentially, where they're uber effective.
Right.
So it's critical, dude. So yeah, I mean, you really have allowed it and created this system now and this structure where all day long you're just generating opportunities, following up, converting to appointment, and once the appointment's there, you never actually meet with the client, correct? I mean, it's just
right.
Billy, you go, or whoever else that you're working with in the team, you go.
Yeah, that's usually how it is.
Yep. Awesome, dude. All right. Well, and this also, over time, it creates other opportunities. I know you just kind of started this other little side opportunity. You and I kind of were having a conversation. It was, okay, I'm ready to take it to the next level. I want to do some other stuff. I got some big goals I want to accomplish. What else could I go out there and do? And kind of had this conversation of, well, why don't you start a side coaching business? Because you obviously have a skill that most agents lack, and there's agents all over the planet that will be willing to pay you for the knowledge and the information. So let's kind of talk about that, talk about what your coaching program is, what it entails, how it's got started, how's it going, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of, the conversion is the CRM and, that we use, obviously. And I got in that Facebook group and like kind of got a reputation for, like being the lead gen guy and being helpful and all that good stuff. And so yeah, they hired Aaron to go ahead and do a commercial. And so that got even more attention and stuff. And I have still to this day, I mean, I get pinged probably 5 or 10 times a day, sometimes more, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? All the time, man, every single day, 7 days a week. And I've always been, like helpful and all that, but it's like, I could spend, 40 hours a week, like going to these lunches and letting people pick my brain. So I kind of come to you with that. And in one of my coaching sessions, it's like, what do? I don't want to tell these people to fuck off, but I got to get some work done too. And you're like, you gotta structure it, you got to put a program together. So we do coaching, we do coaching sessions and one-on-one. We're putting together group coaching and group mastermind stuff that'll be like a monthly, webinar type thing, Q&A type thing. I do lead gen for some other brokers, the conversion platform owners in other states. So, I mean, those are kind of sweet gigs too. Those are $1,000 a month to generate them, whatever, a few hundred leads a month off of Facebook. So yeah, it's kind of gone from there. So we'll see where all that's headed.
It's cool, man. It's been fun to watch because it's what I love about this business. And not just this business, I guess really any business. I mean, to me, why I love real estate isn't necessarily the working with buyers and sellers portion of it. I mean, I enjoy working with people, so I've always enjoyed that, but I've yet to find another industry that creates more opportunity. Or there's more opportunity available. Like, you can go on be a 23-year-old young punk college dropout like I was, that was homeless, living in my car a year before, 2-week crash course, go get your license, and it just can be a total game changer. But if you focus on mastery, right? If you're just immersed in, I am going to be the best person in this space that exists, and you focus on that mastery, then dude, just doors blow off with other opportunities. Now you've got, I don't know the exact financials, it's been a while since we talked about it, but within a few days you had created a 6-figure a year business essentially in a matter of a few days by doing this, and it's on the side. I mean, it's what, a 5 or 10 hour a week or month investment.
From the time that you had told me, you're like, all right, here's what I want you to do. Put this post on Facebook. This is, you've got some slots available. You're going to put whatever, 10 hours a week into this or whatever. It's $1,000 for 4 hours of one-on-one coaching, screen share, whatever. So the first post I did of that, I had 39 people raise their hand and say, I want it. Yeah, let's do it. And then, you got to call them all. It didn't all shake out, but a lot of it did.
Yeah.
A lot of it did. And I was like, holy shit, I don't even know, I don't even know if I want to do this, but holy crap, like you're on everybody's radar. They're watching what you're doing. They want to, we did that. I did a training for the team. You asked me to do a training for the team. and just trying to help my own teammates to use conversion better. Some of us struggle with the technology and stuff. And I opened it up locally. You know, you don't want to give all of our secrets away to local conversion platform users, but I'm a pretty open book. You know, there's not a whole lot of secrets in there. And we opened that up. You know, I kind of wanted to use it as a recruiting opportunity too. Come check out one of our meetings. And I don't know what, we had 100 people show up to that team meeting that day. It was crazy. It's like, wow, holy cow.
That's the power of Facebook too, because then what happens, dude? Like we're just all taking pictures of it, tagging it, posting, tagging each other. The next thing you know, like you're getting posts and requests of, hey, can you come do this in my city?
Right.
Can you know, and like you know, our listeners out there, you guys just need to become badass, immerse yourself, focus on becoming the best person in your space at your craft, at what you do, and then tell the world your story over and over and over. Never stop posting about it.
Yeah, like Facebook's like the best microphone, man. I'm one of those people. I had a guy in Atlanta hit me up, and he's like, all right, what do we got to do? You know, we got to fly you here. We got to organize an event. What do we got to do? He's like, I have heard from no less than 5 people today. Now, he's in Atlanta. We did that live class here in Phoenix. He's like, I have heard from at least 5 people today how kick-ass that class was. And I was like, wow. That's when it hit me. I was like, wow, this guy's talking to people locally here. You know, a couple of the conversion people are here locally and attended the class, but like, holy shit, Facebook.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, man. Another brilliant free tool that just
it's free, right?
Yep, helps catapult, dude. All right, so let's kind of talk about, because I know you're doing all of this for a reason. Like, you've got some huge visions, huge dreams of what you want to accomplish in your world, and it's super, super cool. I love what you're doing. So let's dig into that, dude. I'm just gonna have you kind of talk about what you want to do with the rest. I don't want to say the rest of your life, but your passion out there,
no, I have a whole plan. That's what gets me excited.
But that's what this funds that. I mean, this is that's your why, and this is what you do to make that a reality.
Absolutely. I mean, I love helping agents with these leads. I love helping people realize the dream of home ownership. But this other thing, so there's this guy in New Mexico, Michael Reynolds, and it's like his life's work of building these fully sustainable earth homes. They're called earth ships. There's a little community there of about 200 of these. I've taken my kids a couple of times in the last year. Like, you can rent them and stay in them and stuff. And these houses are designed, they're built out of like car tires packed with dirt. But you don't see any car tires. They're stuccoed real nice, real Santa Fe looking, beautiful homes, right? And they're kind of like wedged into the earth. So they're designed in such a way that, you know, they get as extreme temperatures as we do here in Arizona. They're designed in such a way that there is no heat or air conditioning, but these houses stay about 70 degrees year round inside. And they have solar on. I mean, these houses still have, you know, Apple TV inside, flat screens, Wi-Fi, running showers, flushing toilets. They catch the rainwater off of the roof. They harvest the rainwater. So they're not hooked up to city water. They don't need a water well. They're fully self-sufficient. The south side facing of everyone is a greenhouse, so each house grows enough food inside of it to feed a family. Like, you literally could hold up for 20 years inside of one of these if you had to. If there was a, you know, depression or a terrorist attack or some weird shit, like you could hold up inside of one of these houses. And they're low impact. They're built completely from recycled, reclaimed materials. I mean, to me, this just like makes sense on every level. Like, I don't know why we're not building like this every home moving forward, you know? And so I want to take, you know, that guy's style. He's, you know, that's kind of his art. That's his canvas. So his style is a little out there. So, you know, no regard to cost, no regard to, you know, just it's very eccentric looking. But I want to take his principles. His principles are sound. The guy's an engineer. He's been doing this for 40 years. He's built 2,000 of these around the planet. So I want to take that back here to Arizona and build a community of like 10,000 of these on 5,000 acres. It's going to be probably several different parcels. It's hard to get a single piece of land that big. And you're looking at like, you know, 20 or 25 phases. You're looking at like buying the first 1,000 acres and building the first 10 houses and selling those and building the next 20 houses or whatever. So like we crowdfund the first phase of it, and each phase after that self funds. You sell the 10 houses to build the next 20 or 25. Like there's no debt, there's no partners. I built my rise and fall and losing, $3 or $4 million and 70 houses at one time was all inside of a year and a half. Like, I don't want to do that shit again. Like, I want to do this right. There's a lot of money involved in this. There's a huge opportunity, but it's not at all about the money. It's about, shifting the direction of the planet. So I'm building this fan base now to attract the initial funding for phase one. I need about $3 million to get this off the ground, and some of my own money, but mostly it'll be somebody that gets behind this, and attracting the right 10,000 people to this community, right? So like the people that you and I have had conversations about, like the water wells and like, building the schools in Africa and the hospitals and all of these other things that make sense, all of these other causes. So like attract the right 10,000 people to that community. It would probably be like, 30,000 people, 10,000 homes. And have that, like, this community will be the pebble in the pond. This community everything stays open source. Any builder developer from anywhere in the world can download your blueprints and your cost sheets and everything and say, wow, I could do this in Chicago, Illinois. Well, so the thing too is like, again, this isn't about the money. This is about, just changing the world, So, let's say even if I make 10 grand a house times 10,000 houses, that's $100 million. So now you've got this pool of capital. So when people come to this community, you've got somebody that, okay, now their heart's passion is doing missionary stuff or whatever. They want to build 5 hospitals in the next 5 years in Africa or something. And they're able to move to this community. Now they have no mortgage payment. They have no utilities. They grow their own food. And they need $20,000 grant to go build these hospitals or whatever. Like, done. We've got money to fund that too, So you keep some of the money to keep this going, to keep building the thing. And then, half of the money to like fund the other things that make sense.
So with those homes, I mean, how does it work? Let's just go to the Earth Home community that you mentioned in Nevada that you've been to. So all the water that comes in is captured rainwater.
Yeah.
Like a dude like me drinks probably 2 gallons of water a day, right? I drink a shit ton of water. Where does the other water sources come from? Because rainwater isn't going to be enough to capture, to recycle, to provide what my family needs. Yeah. Where do the other sources come from with that?
So they have, most of these have like 2 10,000 gallon cisterns that store the water, and the houses are designed in such a way that they use 1/4 of the water that a typical house uses. Like a typical house, if you use, 200 gallons a day for a family of 4 or whatever, like it's very wasteful. There's
It's fucking toilet flushing. Dude.
Yeah.
It's like the number one water waste right now is fucking toilet flushing.
These houses are designed in a way, the water gets filtered. So like, as an example, water comes off the roof, it's stored in the cistern, it's filtered, and the first pass through is shower. So that it's literally like rain out of the sky you're taking a hot shower with. Well, then that water is caught and it's filtered, and then it's used. It's a whole gray water system. That shower water is used to flush the toilets.
Yeah.
So, and then there's like separate water, not in that line of things, but there's separate water that is filtered and filtered and filtered again right off of the rainwater that is just drinking water. But everything, there's planters, so like then the toilet stuff goes through, it's a regular septic system and everything, and it goes through these different like peat moss filter flower pot beds that are like non-edible plants. It'll just be like roses and stuff in part of the greenhouse. Like the house is designed in such a way that it uses 1/4 of the water.
What got you interested in all this stuff?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think back, I've asked myself that too. I mean, I was cruising Facebook one time and I saw there's a documentary on this on YouTube. I'm like, what the hell? Earthship? What the heck? This guy's called Garbage Warrior, and like he had to go to the whole Senate process and all that just to get some laws changed and build a, he's kind of a renegade. He kind of went about it like without building permits and all this stuff. So like that he kind of caused a lot of his own problems. But I found this on Facebook one day, and I started watching the videos and the documentaries, and I guess a lot of that was always in me already. I'm probably a earth hugger, earth loving, tree hugging hippie at heart anyway,
Smoke the ganj, dude. You hitting that shit?
No, but I would. I'm more of a brownie man. But so I mean that all resonates with my soul anyway. But this just makes so much sense. And then I've tried to figure out before we've had this conversation. I'm like, all right, it costs $20,000 to drill one of these water wells in a village in Africa or whatever. Like, and that literally will, you punch that water well in the right community, you'll literally save 500 lives in the next 2 years or whatever, right? Like you're literally saving lives. And I want this community, this guy's not on the map. He's been doing this for 40 years. I want to take his life's work. He gets the full credit for it, whatever. If we build 10,000 of these in one location in the sticks in Arizona, like we'll get the attention of Oprah and guys like, Richard Branson, and, we'll get money behind this, no problem. And we'll get media, and we'll get, a big part of this whole thing is awareness. Nobody even knows this exists,
Well, and I think a lot of it is the awareness of why it needs to exist this is just going forward, dude. It's something that we all must accept and have awareness of is we can't sustain life the way that it is.
Right.
The earth is built for about 3.5 million people. There's 7.5 billion people. I'm sorry. There's built for about 3.5 billion. So we have over twice the amount of people that our earth can sustain. Like we're running out of water, running out of food at a very, very, very fast freaking pace. It can't be sustained. Like something's got to change.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think you read the book Abundance as well.
Yeah.
It's like the technology exists. In that book, dude, they're talking about, speaking of like toilets, they're talking about these toilets that are incinerators where like you do your business, right? Then it goes into this chamber that gets burns and it's odorless. You can't see it. You can't, whatever. It's not like you're shitting into like a stove or like a freaking fire oven. But then it uses that energy and then it re-energizes the house. And it's like all this stuff happens. However, like us in America, like as far as like, okay, I'm not going to go gut my house to do this, or it's going to almost take a third world country or a new country that's up and coming and developing for a lot of that infrastructure to happen.
It's funny that you say that, because that's kind of been this guy's findings too, is like, if you want to build one of these earth homes, like there's one out in Wickenburg and Whitman, and there's one in, Cave Creek or whatever, but you try to build one of these in Phoenix, and not to say it's impossible, but man, you will have an uphill battle in front of you, because it's unconventional. People are ignorant. It's not standard building, 2x6 with insulation. It is different shit. It's engineered and it's safe and it's tested, but people are ignorant to it. But what's funny is this guy gets, he's had like presidents and stuff reach out to him after catastrophes. There was the big tsunami in somewhere. And there's a documentary on that on YouTube too. And the people are just like, when there is a situation like that, when there's a collapse or when there's a huge devastation, they become open to any solution that may work, and he's got these presidents and these authority figures like reaching out to him and saying, come help us, bring your team, have your 10 guys show our 200 of our guys how to build this shit so that we can rebuild, so we can move forward. Like we've got dead bodies in our water wells. We've got, salt water in our freshwater wells. Everything is level to the ground. Come help us. And so he takes his team, and so it's interesting that it is exactly that. It is third world countries that are very open to this. And it's going to take that like circling, and here he is, locally in New Mexico, fighting the powers that be on, why he can't do his subdivision or whatever, and I anticipate probably some of that. I mean, we'll have to get attorneys and things to, I want it to be kind of a subdivision for the most part, but very low impact, like don't cut any trees down that don't need to be cut down. And Just everything is safe and it makes sense. And, even if we're building the same floor plan over and over again, that's okay. This is just
They
the start
already
of
do
things.
that shit here in Arizona
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law comes to my house from Michigan, dude, and when she's driving down our street, she just hits the garage door open and waits when the garage
See which
door
one, yeah.
because all the damn houses look identical,
That's awesome.
right? Yeah. No, I love it, dude. So what's maybe one of the, because I know you've watched a lot of videos on this stuff, what's one of the most like impactful videos that people could go maybe watch and maybe just kind of get educated, because it really starts with the awareness, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of documentaries on it. The one on there's one on Earthships in Argentina, and there was this, just real quick too. People don't realize how vulnerable we are. How vulnerable to an attack on a nuclear power plant or on a municipal water supply or on a water treatment plant. Like this solves all of that shit. Like we're so vulnerable and we don't even realize it, to the infrastructure that's already in place. We take it for granted that when we turn the water faucet on, that water comes out or that the toilet will flush. Well, there's this community, this documentary, it's worth watching, on Earthships in Argentina, and there's this beautiful, I think it's an island, and it's coastal. There's beautiful snow-capped mountains in the background, and they had an economic collapse to the point of like basically the city or the county or whatever wasn't collecting shit. They weren't collecting anything, and so they weren't able. Everything collapsed. The water system collapsed. The sewage system collapsed. And they literally had raw sewage like running in the streets and running into this beautiful bay of ocean water, and like the whole city smelled like shit all the time. And so they brought this team in. Everybody lost houses, and they there's like a shanty town like up in the national forest edge of the town kind of thing up on the hill, and it's just kind of all thrown together. Like everybody just build your shack there because everybody lost their house. It was bad. And so they bring the Earthship team in, kind of center of town, kind of near the freeway, kind of near the, where all the traffic is and everything. And they built one of these Earthships, like just kind of as a focal point to the middle of town on what is possible. Like, look, this has a septic system. This is catching fresh rainwater. This is fully self-sustaining. This is what's possible here. You guys already have the main building ingredient is car tires, which are steel belted bricks. It's stronger than these tires. When you pack them with dirt, they pack them with a sledgehammer. These tires weigh 400 pounds, and they stack them strategically, and they build a roof across it. They stucco over it real nice, and they look beautiful when they're done. And you don't see any tires at all, but this whole town was right near a major tire collection center, and because it was on an island, they have nothing to do. They get snow, so most cars have snow tires and regular tires. They have this huge, massive supply of old tires that they don't know what to do with in this same town where they're having all of these problems. So like the material is local and it's available, and it's a way to reuse and recycle. It's not anything that can't be done. When they fly these crews into, after the tsunami or after natural disasters, they're just flying in with guys. They're not flying in with materials and stuff. They're using whatever is local to put these principles, together and build sustainable housing out of nothing.
Yeah, no, I love it, dude. I love that you're so passionate about this and trying to create this movement, or I shouldn't say trying, you are creating this movement. And, I was walking with my daughter, 6-year-old yesterday. We're walking in the backyard and just got done swimming in the pool. And we're walking, she goes, Dad, wouldn't it be weird? I don't know how this came up or how it came out of her mouth, but she was like, Daddy, wouldn't it be weird if we only had water to drink? Like, couldn't swim in it. And I was sitting there and I'm not trying to spook her, but it just came out of my mouth. I'm like, well, honey, that might exist in your lifetime, right? Might exist in my lifetime. We might not
Arizona,
see,
right?
well, not just in Arizona, dude. I mean, you look at, the Nile and a lot of these other huge water sources. I mean, they're just about gone, dude. 4% of fresh water, or 4% of the Earth's water is fresh water, right? And it's diminishing at such a vast pace, and with the growth of humanity and population, we can't keep up, dude. So like a lot of these, I was watching this documentary the other night on recycled water and drinking water. So like California, a lot of other states have already agreed to, I think by like 2017, to start producing on a big level recycled water, meaning like you're going to be drinking toilet water, you know, right? But it's purified, it's whatever. Now people have got to get over it psychologically, but I mean, it's every bit is clear and whatever else. But it's if we don't do something soon, I mean, we're going to be effed.
It's true.
It's just the reality of the situation.
All water is recycled when you think about it, right? I mean, the water falls to the ground and it goes back to the sky, and I mean, I agree. It's scary to think about, and we especially Americans, it's like we live like, like the resources are unlimited, and they're not,
Do you think in, like, let's just say America, for example, like people in our lifetime will ever like really wake up, unless there's some bad catastrophe that happens where they're forced to wake up, but do you think they would ever wake up to, like, for example, I mean, it's been proven time and time and time again that if you just floss every day, you're going to live longer, right? Like it takes fucking a minute to floss, right? But people are like, oh no, I won't do it. And then all of a sudden when they're on the, when it gets too late, they're like, oh, I wish I did. That's probably a really stupid example here. But I mean, we just is in America seems to be the worst, but we just seem to become that society where it's like, you just don't give a shit until it's too late. Like if everybody just stopped taking like, I don't know, 2-minute shorter showers every day, probably solve a lot of the problem. But they're unwilling to do it because then it's not affecting us. If it's not the immediate, we become such a now gratification and immediate society where they're not thinking of the future. So do you think through awareness that a country like America can grab onto the concept like this and be successful without it, without some huge catastrophe happening?
Honestly, who's to say, right? I don't have a crystal ball either. I think it's probably going to take some sort of huge wake-up call. But my intention is to do everything in my power over the next, this is a 20-year plan, over the next 10 to 20 years, that even if I can get 5% of the population, the awareness is everything. We do this first initial is part of one of the reasons that, I asked if we could talk about that when you asked to interview, like, is this first crowdfunding campaign is like, even if Aaron and I have had this conversation too, it's like, even if we're just asking for $1, like every time they share that link, every time my vision makes sense with somebody else's and they're like, holy shit, this guy gets it. And that's where he's going. And they share that link, or they, 10 more people of their friends see it, like that's the awareness is everything on this.
All it really take is a massive amount of people donating $5 each. And when I say massive, not that big.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. And we got Aaron and I got to talking too, and he made a great connection for me. One of his other video projects was a guy that is hardcore about developing an Earthship community here in Arizona, a little bit smaller in scale, but I mean the guy's already got some prototype stuff in play. I'm like, holy shit, like these are the people I need to be connecting with, because I'm going there, I'm doing this, Yeah,
no, I love it, dude. Yeah. All right, so where do people follow you, maybe to learn more, to become educated more, if they have questions, whether it's about the Earth homes? I know you're constantly posted about it, talking about keeping people updated, but also maybe they have questions or just want to follow you to see kind of what you're doing and some of the lead gen ninja stuff.
For sure.
Or maybe if they want to reach out to you for some of the coaching that you offer with the lead generation coaching. Where do people go? How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, probably Facebook, man. I mean, I live on Facebook,
So just Ryan Hightower on Facebook?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, now groovy, man. Well, I appreciate you being here, dude. It's been an honor. Before we roll up, man, any last words of encouragement, last words of advice for everybody watching this to just go out there and it shows really to inspire others to just go out there and create that epic life. Unfortunately, 97% of people live in die amidst mediocrity and they're dying with a heavy heart of regret, and it's sad. It's like, okay, you're a dude that's going after your dreams. You've got this vision. You're going after them. Any last words of encouragement? Or maybe somebody has dreams, but they've just been too freaking scared or whatever it may be, and then maybe they're just too overcome by the fear to go out there and do it. So any last words?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've helped me get clear on some of this too. It's like, just first of all, get clear, get clarity. What is it? What is your passion? What are you? Man, what gets you? If it's not listing and selling houses, that's okay. But what is it? Write it down, get clear about it, and then start connecting with your people. They're out there. Somebody else is passionate about it too. Social media makes it easier than ever before to start connecting to these people. A year ago, I didn't know who that guy was in New Mexico. That some guy existed in Taos, New Mexico, a 12-hour drive away, that would change the whole course of direction in my life. Like, connect with these people, help them out how you can, put a plan together, you know, and just start moving forward one step at a time.
Yep.
You know.
Love it, love it. All right, you guys, well, there it is, man. We had, like I said, my brother from another mother, my homie, Ryan Hightower,
Awesome,
on the call today. It's been an honor, bro. And,
Thank you.
For you guys listening to this call, watching this interview, recording, podcast, whatever you want to call this interview, for those of you listening or watching, information without implementation, right? Information without implementation is absolute delusion. So the only way this is going to work, dude, Ryan shared with you a ton of ninja tactics that he's doing every single day to get 50, 100, sometimes plus leads every single day. And those are just Facebook leads. That's not even talking his Craigslist crazy rental ninja shit he's doing, getting a couple hundred every single day. Take the information that you've learned, implement in your business, go out there, take action. Execution is the heartbeat of your business. If you don't execute, your business will die or will never actually go out there and live and be successful. So take action. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching. Have an epic, amazing day, and keep crushing it. Keep being awesome. We'll talk soon.